I guess. Sorry. And is that by design? No, it was my
Good job,
electronic.
Ryan.
No, Black Star Panda. That's not by design.
Well, it's my. Sorry. Wait, this isn't our normal stream, so I didn't go through the normal process I do of making sure the mics are on and everything. And so, well, cool. So anyway, that was the most interesting conversation ever, guys. Great stream.
Yeah.
Is there
We
no
solved all the world's problems.
Is there no C team game?
There's not. There is a better advice panel.
I saw that.
No C team game.
Okay. I was also looking. What day was the one where it's about scaring your players respectfully?
I don't know,
Respectfully, how to terrify?
I'm scaring respectfully. I like that. That's cute.
Well, I think the idea is that, especially with this year, when you have people who you've got some game masters who have been dumping in traumatic things without warning their players first as a means of and that's just kind of shitty.
That's bad and wrong and stupid, and you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, that's not a.
But I was mainly quoting the "I am staring respectfully" thirst tweet.
I'm staring respectfully.
I'm staring
I've seen
respectfully. I'm scaring respectfully. I like it.
I don't think I've actually
love
seen that.
to run a game one day where it's like I make everyone sign a consent form because I want to do like a psychological horror game. Be great.
Yeah, but that's when everyone signs up for it, right? That's like everyone's like, yeah. It's like if you go to see Saw or Human Centipede, you know what you're signing up for. You can't come out of there being like, I didn't know that's what it was about. I'm traumatized. No, you might be traumatized, but you knew what you were signing up for. But if you just spring that on someone, hey, we're gonna watch this great movie. What is it?
I have a prime example of of a situation like this.
Okay.
Aliens versus Predator 2.
Okay.
Did you ever see it? Any of you?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
It's Aliens versus Predator in a small Midwestern town. Or so basically it's if you're a human and you're in this movie, you're screwed because it's Aliens versus Predator in your town.
Yeah.
The people sitting in front of me and my brothers when we went to see this movie, because it was a Christmas release movie.
Yep.
Brought their child with them.
Oh my God.
That was a mistake.
Just old enough child to take to a movie theater to enjoy a movie with. And this is the type of age child that when you bring them to the movie, you bring them to see The Lion King, and you make sure they understand after the movie's over that those are cartoon characters, just a cartoon, and Simba's daddy didn't actually die.
He's dead.
They just stopped drawing him.
He's a fake. He's fake, and Daddy's not gonna die. Daddy's okay. He's not going to die because.
But Uncle John's got a scar on his face too.
Yeah.
No.
Listen.
Meanwhile, across the
time for the harsh realities, my child.
Okay, so left and right, people are getting butchered by aliens, and like chest bursting is happening. And this child is going, "Mommy, I'm scared," and his father's like, "Shut up." And then as they're walking out, they're complaining about how this is not. We brought our kids to see this movie. I'm like, why did you bring your kids to see this movie?
Are you fucking stupid?
So one of them was brave enough to say, "Mommy, I'm scared." They brought two kids with them.
Oh God.
The other one was so scared that they were huddled up in their seat and couldn't say anything.
God.
That reminds me of how one time while on vacation in a hotel room, we were flipping channels, my older brother and I. I think we were 7 or 8.
We found porn.
We did, but aside the point, we also found the film Event Horizon.
Oh man,
that was trauma. That was awful. I was like, I'm terrified. I'm not gonna sleep.
Yeah.
That'll do
I
it.
guess this is why I'm broken, because I was brought up with nothing but horror films.
Yeah, I mean,
this is why you don't sleep at night.
The only ones that ever got me was we just talked about it. We were just talking about it on stream too. The Alien movie, Fire in the Sky.
Oh yeah.
That was the only one that I ever got because I hate aliens.
That's creepy. Yeah, that's a creepy ass movie
Fire
too.
in the Sky. I'm not familiar with. I'll have to take a look at it.
Go. That's one of the few movies. I've seen every horror movie left and right. It's one of the few movies that got me. I wonder if I'd watch it again, but I don't
I
know.
think that one is actually like about. It's not like an alien horror movie,
based
but it's
on
like
yeah.
it's an
based on a true
alien.
story.
It's an alien abduction. Like this happened to me. I'm like, oh shit, I'm not watching
Yeah.
this movie, buddy.
Yeah. No, it's no. I don't like aliens.
So wait, this was made in 1993.
Yes, I was 8 years old when I watched this.
It's a creepy ass movie.
I can deal with normal alien, like Alien, Predator, all that stuff. I was fine with. I watched Hellraiser, Friday the 13th, all all the classics. Grew up with just fine. But Fire in the Sky fucking got me.
Because I think that was more psychological, right? Because all those others you described are like it's jump scares and it's gore, but it's like
slasher.
80s gore. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of those got me, but I think it was because it was like, oh, based on a true story. But even like what was the other one? Close Encounters. That one didn't really get me, even though that was supposed to be.
Well, that was more. That was more just like.
That was more like science fiction fantasy than anything else.
That was more suspense than it was. Hey, you've been abducted and violated by aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Also, the abduction scenes in that movie were far more terrifying than Close Encounters. Like, the Close Encounters were scary, but also like more mysterious than anything else.
Yeah, Fire in the Sky. Fuck that movie.
I think I remember.
Now I know where they got some of their ideas in Dead Space.
Oh
Possibly,
yeah, some of the horror movies have easily influenced a lot of the games.
Oh yeah, there was. I remember Thriller, because I didn't know that Michael Jackson was going to turn into a werecat. So that was kind of terrifying. Oh, sorry, spoilers.
1990s spoilers.
Spoilers. And
wait, that came out in the 90s?
87, 88, I thought.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then oh shoot, what was it? I remember I was at a party. It was like 8th grade. I was at a party with people that I went to school with, and for some reason they were watching. I think the movie was called Hellgate, and it's like this. It's an Italian horror movie, and the first scene is of this little kid sitting on the second floor, looking down on the first floor, and it's this creature that comes in and kills the mom, and then kills the dad by slitting his throat. And it was just, and then the thing looks up, stops, and sees the kid hiding up there, and starts slowly walking up the steps, and then it goes into the movie. And for me, that was just like, nope, juice, like times 1,000.
I don't like it.
Oh man, that was.
It is not bueno.
Thriller actually came out in 1982.
Wow, that early.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Yep, it was the biggest pop CD ever, compact disc.
And then
like
the video came out, I guess 82, 83 then, yeah?
No, videos 1982 as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
MTV was around then.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I remember compact discs previously were basically classical music, and when Thriller came out, they put it out in compact disc, and like people were like, "Oh, hey, this compact disc format's pretty cool," and like that really got a lot of people to buy compact disc players.
Mm-hmm. That was and it was Jonathan Landis that directed that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Jonathan Lander.
Why does that name sound familiar?
He did Twilight Zone.
Let's see.
He did Animal House, if I remember correctly. He did a whole bunch. Then after Twilight,
Blues Brothers, Blues Brothers, Animal House, American Werewolf in London, Trading Places, Three Amigos, Coming to America, Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, man.
He was around for a while, and that was like a big deal to have like this well-known cinematic director do a music video.
Mm-hmm. And the Kentucky Fried Movie.
Kentucky Fried Movie.
Spies Like Us. Wow.
Excellent movie.
Amazon Women on the Moon. He
Yep.
did that. I love that. That's such a bad good movie.
Yeah. And did he do Twilight Zone, or is that someone else?
He did some Twilight Zone stuff.
No, but there was the movie, and I remember that director actually got blacklisted for a while because of the actor that got killed.
Twilight Zone the movie, 1983.
Yeah, and after that, he like didn't work for a while because of the accident during that movie where one of the actors got killed.
Don't think that's the case because he's got a lot of movies on here after that.
There was a time where he was like persona non grata because of that.
But Twilight's in the movie actually had multiple directors, so I don't know. It might have been So I don't know. It might have been a different director because
he directed the sequence that was with it was a guy who was like a racist who was constantly jumping into bodies of like different minorities. And in the end, he saves these two Vietnamese kids during the Vietnam War from this helicopter crash. But there was an accident, and the helicopter actually crashed, and it ended up with the actor and I think the kids dying. And they didn't obviously have. It's not an actual snuff film, but they did keep part of that what they shot in the final cut, the crash. But I think not so much because of he kept the footage in, but I think more because of the accident and how it happened. I think because I think there was some like questions as to whether the guy flying the helicopter should have been, or I forget all the details around it. But yeah, that was because that was also around the time like all the Faces of Death movies were coming out. It was
God.
I actually saw Faces of Death. I think I was.
The 80s were a wild time.
I think I was 17.
Yeah.
When I saw Faces of Death.
12 or 13, I think, when I saw it.
And I think what struck me as amusing about it is that I think I saw it on like a History Channel knockoff. Like that was on like local access or something like that. But, like they would show history stuff, and then it's like, now we will show Faces of Death. And I was like, I've got to see this shit. I have got to see this. This sounds dumb as hell.
The 80s were a wild time, man. There was for some reason, just in that thread, it reminds me, there was a ride park. I don't want to call it a theme park, but it was called Action Park, and it was in like North Jersey. Like some people will call it Central Jersey, but there is no Central Jersey, and I won't get into that. But there's this thing called Action Park, and the guy that ran it had no clue about how to run like an amusement park. He just decided he had the property, he was going to open up, and he designed all these rides. And it was at the time like the most dangerous park in America because the first thing is just the rides themselves. So they had like an alpine slide where you ride the little skateboard down the concrete chutes. But he didn't have like an engineer design this. He just designed it. And so like the turns weren't banked properly. So it was not uncommon for people to be launched out of the track, and fly out off of the track on this thing. And the things that you would ride either didn't work properly where the wheels kept on locking up, where you weren't going fast enough, and that meant that the person behind you would crash into you, or they worked too well and the brakes were non-existent, so you couldn't even brake to try to slow yourself down, so you were going down these concrete chutes at breakneck speeds. So part of the thing was people that went to that were coming back with all sorts of like road rash on and these were like kids that I went to middle school with, like on their arms and legs, like, yeah, I went down the alpine slide, I got destroyed. It was like this idea. They had the rope swing where you'd swing out into like a thing. He designed, I don't think they ever actually used it. He designed a water slide that had like a loop-de-loop in it. And he paid some kid that worked there like a 6-pack of beer to go test it. And the kid ended up like breaking his nose and all, because people don't realize how much acceleration you need to have to actually continue yourself over a loop through a thing.
You need a lot.
Yeah.
You need a lot.
And then you add into the fact that the park was essentially run by 17, 18, 19-year-olds. There were no really responsible adults there, and everyone, including like the teenagers, were drunk because no one was policing the alcohol intake there. It was basically, if you could take like a teen 80s movie, this is exactly what was happening. The park had to pay extra money to the township so they could afford an additional ambulance. There were so many 911 calls and runs to the emergency room from this park.
I'm gonna tell you a fun fact. There was a documentary about this park.
Yes.
And the guy who made it.
Yeah, I saw it. It was amazing.
Johnny Knoxville saw the documentary, so he made a movie about this theme park and this dude.
Yep.
Isn't it called Defunct Land?
Action Point.
Action Point. Yeah, he based the movie on this park that was an actual place that my parents, I don't understand. My parents never let me go. I wanted to go.
Why can't it be my turn?
But it was.
I would
well,
be
no,
horribly mangled and injured.
No,
would
but
like to
this
be
what,
made.
that was like a crucible. It was like a badge
Rite
of
of
courage.
passage.
Yeah, it was like you were one of the cool kids if you went and survived Action Park, and I was like, I wanted to do that, and I never did. So, and probably for the better. I think there was one like a grandmother got like maimed on it because her little cart on the Alpine slide got stuck, and then someone else just rammed right into her, and yeah, it was the '80s were a wild time, man. Like this kind of shit would never fly now.
Oh, damn it.
Well, what's more impressive is that
were
knowing what the park
definitely
was and parents still let their kids go.
And I can actually see the logic of the parents like, that's all urban myth. None of that's real.
Possibly.
They wouldn't let a place like that stay open. Little did they know.
Little did they know.
Yeah. Yeah, there were some stories that came out of that place, but yeah, '80s man.
They were a thing.
So what was the first horror movies that you guys saw? Because we said that Clues had seen all like the classics, but then got freaked out by Fire in the Sky.
I'm literally on a list right now of freaking horror movies because I'm like, there's got to be something in here. So, The Shining.
Okay.
Not scary.
God.
It's scary for a different reason, though. It's a whole different
As
thing.
an adult, I find it's a little bit scary, but as a kid, I was like, I don't get it.
It's
all
too,
this...
Too
for
cerebral.
children, it's a little slow paced and a bit cerebral, I think.
Yeah.
To ping as scary.
Well, my brain was like, look at all the snow outside. Why aren't they outside playing in the
Why
snow?
are they playing in the snow?
Get Out, if you haven't watched it. It's a decent, scary
Jordan,
movie.
Jordan Peele's.
Jordan Peele's. It's fine. Don't watch his second one. What was it? Us?
Us?
That
You
was
didn't like that?
fucking stupid, in my
You
opinion.
didn't like
okay.
that one?
I was like, I'm sitting
You're
here
angry
waiting.
about it?
I was wanting to be scared of and then I'm like, nothing's scary.
Well, yeah, if you're looking
scary.
for a scare and you don't get the scare, then it's like.
Well, that and the concept to me was just dumb.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, the twist at the end, I thought, okay, cool, I like that, but that's literally the last 5 seconds of the movie.
Yeah, he's a really
Really
interestingly
parts I like.
good storyteller. It's just that he's not going to hit it out of the park
Isn't
every
he
time.
redoing Candyman?
Yeah,
I don't
Yes.
know.
yeah, he's
Or is
producing
like
that.
he's involved in some sort
He's
of
he's the producer.
Candyman. He's a producer.
Okay.
Mhm.
Paranormal Activity is the next one on the list.
That
was
one scared the
the first
shit
one
out
was
of me.
fine. I was like, cool. Playing off of things that you can't see is always a good way to get creeped out.
And found footage is always an interesting.
Yeah.
Found footage done well is always an interesting.
Blair Witch.
There's-
I saw that
The
when I
Blair
was.
Witch Project is literally next on the list, and I remember that like when the way that they did their marketing was genius. That it was
Yes.
actually real.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I was.
I don't know if I ever
20.
saw Blair Witch in its entirety, and if I did end up seeing it, I think someone was riffing on it the whole time, and so it was like kind of like this is pretty funny.
I
so
saw it
kinda
in the
rough.
theaters.
Me too.
And I think I was 20 or 21, and it scared the shit out of me because at the time I was still living in South Jersey, so I was living in the middle of the woods.
Blair Witch.
Yeah,
Blair Witch Project is 1999.
and it was scared the shit out of me, and I was like, I needed to get to the city where there were no trees because that was really really well
No
done.
like tree.
And then
That
what was cool,
long.
yeah, like what Clue said, they like made the actors like vanish, like they like nope, you have to like stay out of public sight until the movie releases. So there was
And
like,
the
oh wait,
whole
no,
marketing campaign leading up to it, just like this was real. We found this footage. You're not gonna believe what, and it was just like this like a year worth of great marketing.
yeah, just they built
That
this
and-
mythology around the place, and
it
it was
was so good.
very
movie
very
was-
cool.
It was filmed near where I grew up,
Near
That's
in Maryland.
and I remember going to the theater, and I did not know if it was fake or not.
Me too.
I was like, what the hell
Mhm.
did I just watch? And I had the internet. I mean, I remember going on the internet and like looking stuff up. And I think eventually I found like a website that was like where people were talking about
Mhm.
that it was film students and it was a project. And so
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so it wasn't real.
But it's
I mean,
cool
it took
because,
me
yeah.
looking it up on the internet.
I was 14 at the time. I was gullible. I'm like, this is amazing. And then I was like, why aren't they finding these people?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was because there's just even though there's like that part of you that's like, no, it's a movie, right? It had just enough of what is it?
Shitty quality where you question if it actually is
it was.
a movie.
Yeah, it was really. I don't think you could. I don't think you would be able to do that again now. I mean, the found footage is now like its own genre, right? Like paranormal activity, and it's a cool aesthetic. But I don't think now with the internet you would be able to, unless you like filmed it and then immediately zipped them off to like Antarctica. You know, all the entire cast and crew, and just sequestered them for
leaks. Yeah, there'd be leaks.
It's.
I don't think you could film it and then zip the people away. I think you'd have to zip them away and film it because what's his face that plays Spider-Man? He's like on stage or on set leaking things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Holland is.
Yeah.
Tom Holland. Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I'm just thinking of you guys are talking about Blair Witch. I'm just like that was when I was in high school here, and because those were students from UCF, a school I went to, or university I eventually went to. All the high schools in the area with any amount of like a TV production or stagecraft are like, this is a big deal. You could get into Hollywood if you're because they're doing this, and we're like, wow. So thanks for ruining the movie for us and telling us everything about it. Like,
jackasses.
They went to a community college.
Yeah.
They were from a community college and they filmed the movie and they did it for just a few $1,000 and they made millions.
Yeah.
So it was huge.
It was them. Clerks
Definitely
was like
one of
that.
those moments where it's like, listen, the doors are open.
Yeah.
I think that Tarantino and Kevin Smith kind of started that too, because when they did Reservoir Dogs and they did Clerks was shot for like $30,000, and Reservoir Dogs wasn't much more. But it was the first time where you had like these directors that were like rock stars. They didn't go to film school. Like Kevin Smith is a film school dropout, and Quentin Tarantino is just
he was a video rental.
Yeah,
graduate.
but he had watched every
he worked at a
movie,
video
and they showed you don't need to have these big budgets to make these very cool, quirky movies. Yeah.
Let me borrow your car. Why do you need to borrow my car? I need to go to the video store. You work at a video store.
I'm not even supposed to be here
You know what's great is I watched that again. It holds up.
Yeah.
It holds up because there's nothing. The humor in it is timeless.
So here's the funny thing: is that I watched Clerks for the first time in my late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Whole film.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, this is where my uncle developed his entire personality. This film. Because, like, it's got so many... His talking points are this movie's talking points. This movie's ideas are his ideas. It's like, interesting. That's where he gets all of this.
Cancer merchant.
Cancer merchant. Yeah, it's a.
I'm disappointed in this list.
None of this
Was the list not grabbing you?
Roz, what was the?
Candyman,
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
Oh yeah, no.
Which one?
The original?
76, 74, 70 something.
Mm-hmm.
I
Train to
turned that one
Busan,
off
I
because
haven't
it's
seen, so I just added it to my list to watch like after we get off the stream.
Which
Which
one?
one?
was that?
Train to Busan, it's a new one.
Oh, that's
Oh.
a great film.
I wouldn't call that scary, but it's a very good movie.
Okay. A Quiet Place, I just watched that. It was fine.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually more impressed that because their whole concept is that there's this creature that focuses on sound. So almost the entire movie is silent, which I thought was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So they did great atmospheric on it, but
Cillian Murphy's in the second
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
Is the
yeah.
second one out?
one. No, but
There, it's
okay.
going
I
to be.
don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's in the can.
When I first saw Halloween, though, like I think I was a teenager, and I thought it was kind of scary. And I was very into the aesthetic of the movie, and the performances were pretty good, and the music. So there was a lot of like the cinematography, the music, the directing. I thought it was fairly solid. Maybe it wasn't too scary, but like I mean, and I'm not like, oh, I was so freaked out the whole time or anything.
Mhm.
But there was definitely like some moments in there where it was just like, you definitely got the jump scares.
Good movies.
I know what's nuts is like all
For
like those
sure.
classic like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th, all Halloween. These were all shown on like network television and like
Yeah. You
and
could just watch it, and it was
UHF.
fine.
Yeah, and like you
Yeah.
remember when there was a TV guide and you would open up and they'd be advertising like, "Oh, we're showing Friday the 13th this week." And it wasn't like
Yeah.
completely uncut, but it was mostly uncut.
Yep. And then if you were my dad, you'd record it on a VHS.
Yep. And you
Yep.
try to hit pause at the commercials and,
Mhm.
and yep. Oh yeah.
Now, Halloween 3, awful.
That was a
Oh,
Was
Terrible.
that
so
Season
bad.
of the
Terrible.
Witch?
It's horrible.
Was that Season of the Witch? The one that was like when they were
It's-
trying to do like the spin-offs?
It's the one with 8 more days till Halloween.
Oh,
God.
yeah.
Halloween,
With the masks. Yeah.
Silver Shamrock. Ah!
Yeah, that was their
Mhm.
attempt to like build the franchise to not
So
just be Michael Myers, to be like
Yeah.
this Halloween. And they
They
after
were
that they're
trying
like,
to,
nope, Mike Myers is where it's at. That's
Yeah.
Mike Myers becomes more interesting to me when the idea of him being just a person
mm-hmm.
sort of starts to fall to the side.
Mm.
Like, the first Halloween was like, oh wow, what a weird evil person. And then every
Yeah.
Halloween thereafter has been like, we're exiting personhood. We are exiting personhood and we are becoming something more elemental
Mm.
and more unstoppable and more terrifying.
Yeah.
It's very strange. But like Rob Zombie did this most recent Halloween,
Yeah, he did the remake.
that really speaks to that part of that character, where it's not just a person. It's a person that has a strange effect. It's an entity that has an effect on reality. I don't know if any of you have seen it, but there's a couple of scenes that really edge close to the supernatural that are really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Is the most recent one the Rob Zombie one? Because I remember
No, the most. Well, no, maybe it is.
because there was a very recent one that was like a direct sequel to the Jamie Lee Curtis, and just anything
No,
with Jamie
that
Lee
wasn't
Curtis
Rob
in
Zombie. That wasn't Rob Zombie.
That one wasn't Rob Zombie.
Rob Zombie
That
was,
was her
basically
living
a
in, like-
reboot.
it. Huh?
Rob Zombies was a reboot.
Oh, okay. No, I kind of wanted to see the one because I never actually watched any of the Halloween movies until very recently. I saw the first one like 2 or 3 years ago on Halloween. And I kind of makes me want to watch the H2O one, which sounded stupid as hell by the title, but only because it's a direct sequel to the first one because it has Jamie Lee Curtis in it again, and it features her like trying to explain to people this guy is the be very concerned when guys in white masks start showing up with cleavers. And then like the third one with her in it, I think this is supposed to be the third one, which was the most recent one, where she's gone through this stuff twice now, and now she's basically turned the land she lives on into a trap for him, because he's going to come back eventually, and when he does, she's going to mess him up pretty bad, and I want to see that one.
I think what I've always liked about, for me, the ones that have always been scariest are the ones that aren't explained, where it's just this thing exists. We don't know where it came from. We don't know what it is, and I always like the idea of it's just this thing that's beyond our reality. It's like, hey, serial killer shows up. That's scary, but it's a human, and if we can catch them and we can do things with it. But then it's like, then this other thing shows up that you shoot it and it doesn't die, and I don't know where it came from. I don't know what it is. I don't know what its motivations are, and it's just, I think that was like kind of like Jaws in a lot of ways. It's like the idea that when you don't see the shark, it's scarier.
You might like that Quiet Place one then, because that's
Yeah.
a similar vein.
I probably would,
I
and
would-
I like John Krasinski is an interesting director. You wouldn't think that he would be in that vein because he's known for his comedy, and he's a very funny dude. But yeah.
You brought up two things I was just thinking about, or one thing I've been thinking about while we're talking about this. One thing I read about this morning. The reason you don't see as much of the Jaws, the shark in Jaws at the beginning, because
Budget.
Spielberg hated the robot.
Yeah.
He thought it looked like crap, so you don't see it until towards the end of the movie. And that just accidentally made it the most suspenseful thing about the shark. Is like when When's it gonna show up?
But that was like Alien, right? In the first Alien movie, you do not see a clear shot of the alien until the end, and once you do, you're like, oh, it's a dude in a suit.
Yeah.
But before that, it was like, Jesus Christ, what the hell
You
is
lose
this
the
thing?
magic of it.
Yeah.
Because when you're not seeing all of it, it's a
You
it's
fill in the
terror.
rest. Your imagination
you're
fills
like,
in the rest.
whoa. Why is
That's
it
actually
gooey?
then they continued that into the Godzilla series, like the first remake of Godzilla that came out. This series is
Where
out
you
right
didn't
now, like
see much of Godzilla.
until he's in San Francisco, and you're like, holy crap, he's huge.
So not the god awful Matthew Broderick one.
No, not that one.
Hey, that one's awesome.
It was
Shut up.
fun. I loved that when it came
That
out.
one is
but
great.
that is not Godzilla as far as I'm concerned. That's Giant Monster Attacks New York, and it was good for that.
Yeah, but it was
But
not Godzilla.
it's-
I liked the sleek, fast Godzilla. He was like that was more scary than like lumber, chunky Godzilla.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking for, I was looking for Wrath of Nature Godzilla, and
Yeah,
not
that's
like,
fair.
yeah. No, there's these two. Supernatural actually had. We were talking about like we don't know how to deal with this situation. Like Supernatural, they're always like we're looking at our dad's journal, how we're gonna handle these monsters.
I'm gonna check the
My
lore.
dad was a hunter.
A dad was a hunter. They in like season 1, or season 2, they run into a situation where they're like, why can't we capture this ghost and destroy it? Because it's not a ghost. Someone accidentally created a monster using ancient runes, and like it's a collective psyche creature
Yeah.
because they made a website, the Tulpa.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's a gestalt entity that someone made a website for it, and everyone's belief in it is what's powering it. It's not a
If you
ghost.
look up
It's like
tulpas,
the
it's
Wah.
actually a legitimate thing.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
If
What?
you look up tulpas, that's an actual legitimate thing.
Yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm.
And then they use the idea of the Tulpa behind that, and I was like, that is the best and most horrific monster
It's a living meme.
ever.
It's like, oh, why does your gun work? Because I believe it works.
What do you mean? It just works.
Yeah, that's a 40K trope. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
They paint their trucks red because it makes them go
Go
faster.
faster,
It really
and it
doesn't,
makes
but they
them go
believe it does. So, but because they believe it makes them go faster, they go faster.
Well, that's what I liked. Like to that end, it was like the beginning, the early seasons of Stargate were interesting like that because it was still set very much in like a reality, right? Where we have the technology that we have when this series was made, and every time that they stepped through one of those Stargates, they could potentially encounter an alien society, an alien civilization that far outpaced anything that Earth had technology-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like every time it was like, and we don't know if guns will work.
Yeah, we're not sure. We
And
have
I-
guns and we're taking them, but we don't know if
Yeah,
they'll work.
exactly. I always just like that concept of where you have to walk very, very carefully and very slowly. We're only going to go about an hour from the Stargate. We're not going to do this massive exploration where we just show up and map the planet. It's like, no, we can't. And you know,
There's a reason they send
Yeah.
the unmanned probe through every
Mhm.
time first.
yeah.
and then every so often, like you've seen later seasons, like they don't even do that. Like the first team doesn't even like go all the way out that
Mhm.
far. The first team walks in after the unmanned probe, like, all right, this
Okay.
all seems okay.
We
We're gonna
weren't
go.
liquefied.
We're gonna go as far as we can go without losing sight of the gate,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're going back.
Yeah.
There's actually a really interesting episode that I really liked, but I wish it had done more.
Hmm.
They go through a Stargate and they end up in a dark, like an unlit factory. Right? It's clearly some sort of factory or power plant. And on a pole, like right in front of the Stargate, is this weird totem. And
Yes.
like, it's like, what the fuck is this? And then Teal'c is like, we need to leave.
Yeah.
Now.
Like, why? He's like, well, this is what we put up when worlds had been lost to, plague or, other bad shit, and like, we just need to leave.
This is a death world. We're going.
This is a death world. We need to leave. And I was like, wow. Not only like it was an interesting world building moment because, one, that means there are worlds that even
The Gould couldn't deal
the
with.
Gould and the Jaffa will not go to.
Yeah.
I mean, worlds that they're afraid of. Two, They have a policy for such worlds.
It's happened often enough.
It's happened often enough that there's a policy for it. And 3, what was so dangerous on that world? Natural regenerative capabilities of the symbiotic relationship between the Jaffa and the Gould couldn't handle it. What could their technology not handle? What was about that world that was so dangerous?
And it's a good point. They never bring that back up.
They never touch on it again.
It's like, cool idea. Bye.
Really cool idea. In fact, like, I want to go. I kind of want to go back to that world. I kind of want to see what's going on here.
But that was the world where they found the mirror on it, wasn't it?
I don't remember.
That's the Alterniverse mirror thing.
I don't actually remember what. I know the alternative universe mirror. I remember that one.
Yeah.
But I don't remember.
That's that episode. They go back there and Daniel's like, well, while you're trying to dial this up, let me just take a look around, and he's like, zap.
Yeah,
Gone.
he gets sucked into the mirror.
Yeah.
Actually, I did that to a D&D party. My first
In real life.
dungeons. One of the first dungeons that I actually made from front to back had it basically was having a Far Realms incursion. The Sochar, which are body snatchers, they're parasitic and they can enter into humanoid bodies and puppet them around. They're awful. But I was like, well, I needed them to have a way to get there. Well, it turns out underneath this town is a chamber with dozens of mirrors in them. And when one of the party members interacted with one of the mirrors, they were immediately teleported to the other side, sort of like a gate, and they were in a punishingly cold, unlit ocean suddenly underwater. And that is where, like, bad things happened. hope you can get back.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was good.
Fun. That's
But
like nightmare fuel
evil
right
mirrors
there.
are fun. Evil mirrors are fun. I like.
Lost in the middle of an ocean with no light. That's
no,
like
not
that's
in the
nightmare.
middle of an ocean, underwater.
No, I'm just
in
saying
an
like that. I think
abyssal
it's
deep.
I think that's been a reoccurring nightmare for me, or at least at one point, just being like stuck in the middle of an ocean, nothing around, and there's no way back. It's like, oh.
I don't especially enjoy the prospect of being on the ocean. The ocean's fun and it should be husbanded and protected very carefully, but I don't like it.
But it needs to stay over there.
There's nothing wrong with being on the ocean. It's a glorious place.
No.
And sharks are just water puppies.
And
As
that's
long as
fine.
you-
And I don't hate ocean creatures. I just wasn't built for the ocean. I don't have supremacy there. I will stay on land.
I am not an apex predator within these waters. Nothing.
I am not the master of the world in this ocean, and so
I'm at the
choose
bottom
to,
of the food
Leave
chain.
it to the sharks and the squid.
We used
You
to
may have that.
when I lifeguarded, we used to have to do something called a food chain swim, where a bunch of us would go out and we'd swim straight out from the beach until we were the bottom of the food chain, and then we would swim back.
That's an interesting concept.
Go out past the breakers, come back. Go to where the devil lives, and then return.
Yeah, no, the ocean's great as long as you understand it can kill you if it ever decides to.
Your food.
Your food.
Your food.
You stop being a person and you start being food.
You're just meat at that point.
You're meat.
But in the end, what a great way to go out.
No.
It's
Drowning?
slow and
No.
unpleasant way.
No, not drowning, being eaten by a shark or something similar.
What? No.
You're like, what maybe this
You
is like the...
are like that? Maybe.
I don't want my last thought being I'm being eaten.
This is badass. You're like, no, I failed.
This is so cool! Oh my god, it's agonizing, but so cool!
It hurts so
Oh,
bad.
God.
We just need to develop our.
stories you can tell your grandchildren.
No, you can't because you're dead.
Your kids can tell your kids.
We just need to develop our oceanic superiority, and then we can exert our
No.
our forces onto the sea.
No.
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 Superiority.
Oh Lord.
No.
Yeah, we made it a whole hour and 20 minutes, guys.
Talk
I
about
couldn't-
horror movies.
I couldn't help it.
How about that Ring? That's a shitty movie. No,
Is it?
What
I don't
was
like
it?
The Ring.
I never actually saw it.
It's dumb.
What movie?
Noted.
The Ring.
Oh, The Ring.
I was like, the rain.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Was that about your
creepy.
Xbox dying with the red ring?
Yes, that would be more terrifying than this stupid. Oh, if you
Ring.
watch this, you're gonna die in 7 days.
There was some really creepy stuff that
Spoilers.
happened in it. There was
No,
some.
that's literally the whole basis of the movie, so it's not a spoiler.
Yeah.
There's an urban legend, I think in like New York, that's very similar to that, where if you get the business card of this or calling card of this nurse from like the yellow fever days,
Oh.
where she's going to come and eat your heart out of your chest, unless you pass on, if you've seen her calling card, unless you pass on her calling card to someone else, and then they're going to come after her, or that she's going to come after them. And I don't know if this is an actual urban legend or John Ellis or Adam Ellis, the cartoonist, came up with it, because he did a whole sketch, the story arc, where he's like stuck in his apartment, and directly he looks out the peephole of his apartment door is this old nurse, who's waiting for him to open the door so she can come get him. And he's like, I don't know what to do. And at the end of the comic is a photograph that's been basically in the comic of the calling card, and you're like, how else? He's like, how I can't leave my apartment, how am I going to get someone to look at this this calling card? So he puts it at the end of the comic.
Oh wow,
the calling card.
That's very cool.
Genius.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Have y'all
I mean, I'm
seen
still
Us?
here, so clearly, my heart has not been ripped out of my chest, unless I'm just like in a queue.
Yeah,
Well,
Us or Get
Supernatural
Out.
would have to actually exist.
You're in
for
line.
that to happen, so.
Now serving number 72.
Or so many people saw the comic at the same time that she exploded. I don't know where to go.
Basically, it became heart disease instead. Everyone's sort of like, now we're all like working on coronaries.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, we talked about the Get Out or Us movies. Get Out was fine. Us is dumb.
Us is dumb. Yeah.
What
In
else is
my
on that list?
opinion.
Here's a horror comics concept that I really love, that I kind of wish they brought into movies, where the slasher is a form of undead. The serial killer or slasher, like in slasher movies, slashers are a form of monster or undead. Like there's always a reason or a logic to it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Yeah, and it was a comic called Hack and Slash, where this girl is the only she's the last girl from her slasher experience, and she travels the country hunting slashers.
I seem to recall that showing up in a TTRPG. That concept, where there is the eponymous slasher. It is an actual species of thing.
Interesting.
Maybe it was an undead, maybe it was a demon of some sort. I don't remember. But
We should do.
somebody came up with the idea of like, no. These aren't people. They're being ridden by
Are we
something.
thinking of a Halloween game, of the slasher Halloween game?
No, I was thinking more along the lines of we should do a spoopy movie watch along. That'd be fun.
That'd be
okay.
cool.
Like a riff tracks for a horror film?
Yeah,
Nice.
it'd be
Well,
fun.
Manos, the Hands of Fate.
We've got channels.
There's
in
a
here,
mantis in my pantis.
What?
Wait, what?
You've never seen that riff tracks?
No.
No.
Oh, wow.
I've seen very few riff tracks because I insist on seeing them in theaters, and the one theater in Florida that will show them regularly is down by Disney.
Wow.
So I don't feel like driving an hour and a half to go see these things.
Oh, I mean, that's the plague lands down there. You gotta.
All right now, yeah.
So one of the guys from Misty 3K that does riff tracks, Joel, I think is the one. He actually lives in this area, in the
cool.
Philadelphia area, and he, for at least one semester years ago, taught a course at Bucks County Community College on how to riff on movies. As like I guess part of the theater program, like an improv type thing. And then my friend who runs one of the community nights at the Colonial Theater. The Colonial Theater is the theater from The Blob, where the Blob attacks everyone. And they didn't do it this year, but they do Blob Fest every year, where they reenact everyone running out of the theater, and it's this whole street festival thing. But the Colonial Theater still shows movies. And so for a while, he was doing horror movies on First Fridays for a while, and then he started doing a Misty 3K night. And they actually got Joel to come down and do live riffing on a movie one night, which was pretty funny. So, just random trivia, random factoids, but yeah, the Colonial. It's a pretty neat. I mean, it's still beat up. It's a pretty beat up theater still. It still needs a lot of work, but it's cool. They still do a lot of or they were doing a lot of events there for stuff like that. So, yeah. Okay, I'm done.
End topic.
End topic.
The end.
The end. I've added so many horror movies.
Legend was
to my
scary.
watch list.
Legend, the one with Tom Cruise and Tim Curry. That was kind of a spooky movie as a kid.
Yeah.
As a kid, I mean,
do you remember the Bog Witch from that movie? The slimy green Bog Witch thing? That's Robert Picardo, the doctor from Star Trek Voyager.
Oh, cool.
Like he is super freaking tall
Mm-hmm.
and lanky. Like the guy is like almost 7 foot.
Freakishly tall.
Yeah, like I'm not short, but I'm not like super tall, and I got to look up to when I'm standing next to this guy.
He too is from Philadelphia.
Is he?
Yeah.
I wonder if that movie's still playing. I watched a really bizarre one. It was called Mother.
Oh,
Yeah,
that was with
It's not still out now.
with Jennifer Lawrence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one was weird.
Was that Jennifer Lawrence?
Mm-hmm.
That's Jennifer Lawrence in that one.
Mm-hmm.
That one and the Sumer
Oh, yeah.
one.
The what
Fucking
one?
weird movies.
Which one?
Midsummer
Midsummer. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
is weird.
I'm guessing.
You're
that's
like, okay,
All right, this is a thing that I did.
this is the thing that I'm watching, and oops, I can't have an 8-year-old also watching it. Let's get it off the top TV because.
Noted.
Mhm.
What have we learned?
Yeah, I'm always a little weird when I mean, I understand that you've got to know your own kids, but it's always a little weird when you see some of these movies that are like very violent, and you're bringing.
Well, that's what this one was.
Yeah, and it's like I understand, like, listen, kids can understand a lot, and I don't want to tell anyone how to parent, but at a certain point, it's like, but should your kid be sitting through Aliens versus Predator 2?
Yeah. See, there's like with Alex, I mean, I don't filter a ton with that kid, and you see him, he's perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some things where like I'm watching this and I'm like, this is flat out let's see, he's asleep. It's literally suicidal gore. Like not
Something that we want to introduce yet.
Yeah, maybe it's
Maybe.
So, okay, so just out of curiosity, like, do you have like, so I know from my parents, if it was, they had a very low tolerance. The bar for them was very low. Like, for them, anything remotely sexual was right out the door. Brian, leave the room, or you're not allowed to watch this, or whatever.
See, I don't have to worry about it with him. He's in that phase where it's like, oh, kissing gross. So
No,
he'll
no,
just
no.
be like,
Yeah, no, more like, okay, so there in the movie Teen Wolf, there's a really brief scene where the one love interest is in her bra, and my parents thought that was too much. But yeah, for you, do you have like, are there certain like hard limits where you're like, yeah, this is something that Alex at this point is just flat. We suicidal gore, we've established that.
Yeah.
But
that's a bit much.
yeah, but I mean, do you have like a general, or is it more for you? Is it more as like, as it comes, like more like contextually, like, yeah, this is probably okay for him, or it's time for him to leave the room, or.
Well, yeah, like when it comes to like the sex stuff, I mean, if it's softcore, going on, no.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's just like seeing someone in their underwear, I don't care so much because we can go to the beach and see just as much.
Yeah.
So, making out and that kind of stuff, I don't care. He doesn't really like it anyways. He's like, he's in that funny, gross phase.
Ew, cooties, gross.
Yeah, ew. I don't want to see that. I'm like, but you give me a kiss, and he's like, that's different.
That's different. Okay.
It could literally be the same thing. Mwah. And they'd be doing the same thing on the screen. Mwah. He's like, oh, gross.
Yeah. Well, I guess though he understands. He
phase.
probably understands the context, right? There's between kissing your mom and
Yep.
not kissing someone who's not your mom.
It's just a funny stage right now. But like gore, I don't really care about a lot of gore because I think that gets overhyped. But like when it's I guess intentional gore, that I'm like, nah. I guess it's weird because you just know your kid and what he can handle. I know my line is a lot lower probably than some other parents because they're like, no, filter everything. Like,
I think that was
good
my
luck.
folks. Yeah. Well, that was my folks.
Especially nowadays. There's the internet. Good luck.
Yeah.
I'd rather have him.
The internet and school buses.
Yeah, I'm like, I'd rather have him at least be around me and I know what's going on rather than hiding behind my back.
Yeah.
First time I dropped the F-bomb around my stepbrother.
Oh, God.
When he was like 14, 15. And we were playing with the family dog. And, like, I was, like, grabbing his face and squooshing it. And we were laughing. I was like, yeah, he probably wants us to fucking stop that.
Oh, I can't. I remember my 2 girls.
And, like, he ran upstairs to tell he snitched on me. He ran upstairs and told my father what I'd done.
Did you tell him Did you tell him snitches get stitches?
No, I didn't tell him that because like now as a 28-year-old I have Well, no, 20.
But he's 14. You've heard that. I think you heard that in
You've been
elementary
on a
school.
school bus, my boy.
Yeah. What was the
And
first time?
Like, yeah, my dad was like, "Why did you say that?" He was mad as fuck at me about it. And I was like, "Dad, all right, look, I'm
14.
sorry. I apologized to him. I said I was not directed at him. It was not meant to make him feel bad. It slipped out of my mouth. He's heard the word before. It's not a new thing. He's not going to start repeating it. I know that for a fact because he's in your house."
So what was do you remember the first time you dropped an F-bomb in front of your parents?
No.
I've never said that in front of my parents.
Really?
I have called my brother a son of a bitch in front of my father before.
So is that just like in your house? Is that like just cursing is just a
cursing in general is not done
it's a non-starter. Okay.
Was not done in our house, which is why I curse so much.
That actually started very recently with my family.
Cursing or not cursing?
Cursing is allowed?
My parents my dad is cursing in front of me, like for the first time in my mid to late 30s is when it started. Where he started cursing around me. He's like, he calls my brothers, he's like, when my brother says something smart, like they catch him in on something, and he's like, "You son of a bitch!" I'm like, "What do you call my mom?"
Oh, that was mean, Dad.
Where did this come from?
Yeah, we try not to curse in front of my father, but we've heard him do it before, and it's.
I can't remember the first time. I know I say it, but I can't remember the first. I know it was very late, but I was also one of those kids. I didn't drink until I was 21. I didn't ever do drugs. I was good in school. I don't know. That's just the way I was brought up.
So I'm the bad kid here. Okay, cool.
No, well, I mean,
you have a social life. Come on.
Hold on.
To be fair, I did travel to another country at 18 to try drinking once.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's also like there's being bad and
being a dick.
That. But there's also being bad at being bad and getting caught.
Were you ever arrested as a kid? Oh, okay. Well, then you were a bad kid.
But I have had the police called on me.
Well, no, I wasn't arrested. There was, so there was like 2 cul-de-sacs in our neighborhood, and the smaller of the 2 had like this fenced off utility area where I guess that's where like the water and sewage meters were or whatever. But it was this, I guess, 6 to 8 foot tall fence that you couldn't see through. So we were always like peeking through the knot holes to see what was in there. And one of the things in there looked like a mummy sarcophagus, and I don't know what was. So one day we decided to dig under the fence to see what was in there. And by the time we got under the fence, and this is like in plain view of the entire neighborhood. It's not like we were like out in the middle of the woods somewhere. And as we were coming out, the police car comes rolling up. And one of the other kids I was doing this with took off running for home, and I'm the one that got caught by the police. And I was like 6 or 7. I mean, I was little, and it was like, you know. So I mean, I don't know. Again, this is also small town South Jersey, so this is probably the most exciting thing that was happening in town at the moment. So, I got not arrested, but had contact with the police, and then I wasn't arrested until I was 22 when I rappelled off of a bridge in Philadelphia. And
good job.
Yeah.
Strong work.
Why? Why did you do that?
Because I had the gear and I wanted to.
Because I want.
Because fuck the police.
I had all my climbing gear, and so in this part of Philadelphia, we were right by a park called Wissahickon Park, and there was parts of Henry Avenue that had overpasses that went over parts of the park, and it was a good 3-4 stories between the overpass and the park. And I had my climbing gear, and I was with my roommate, and I was like, hey, you know what, let's just throw my rope over. I've got my harness, let's go rappel off the overpass. Cool. So I get the rope, boom, throw it over. Before I'm even on the ground, my roommate's yelling down,
Police
hey,
are like arms crossed waiting for you.
Police
like,
are
you're
here.
in trouble now.
Well, they got him, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna. I mean, I could have ran, but I would have lost all my stuff, and I'm not gonna leave him. And they come, they throw us in the back of a van. You know, they arrest us, they throw us in holding for a few hours, and the entire time we're sitting back there in this little holding cell that's smaller than this office, I think. And all these officers keep coming back and like, hey, you the one which one of you is the one that rappelled off the bridge? And that was me. They go, you tried to rappel off the bridge? I'm like, no, I did rappel off the bridge.
I succeeded.
I succeeded. And they're like, oh, how cool is that? And like, and every single one of them was like, I didn't know you weren't allowed to do that. I'm like, well, if you didn't know I was... So, a few hours later, they
and
finally...
you got fucking Judge Dredd back there. Ignorance of the law is no excuse.
they finally release us. They get all my gear back. Our other roommates...
they gave you your shit back.
Yeah, they gave me my shit back.
Very cool, because they're not supposed to do that.
Well, I mean... I'm glad I got all my climbing gear back, because it was a rope and a harness, and it was like expensive shit. It was a couple $100 worth of stuff. And we're waiting for our other roommate to come pick us up, and one of the duty sergeants comes walking in. He's just like, oh, wait, are you the guy? Duty. We got charged with disorderly conduct, both of us. And then as we're waiting for our one roommate to come pick us up, the one sergeant comes walking in, and he's like, hey, wait, because he saw me with my backpack on. He was like, wait, are you the guy that rappelled off the bridge? I'm like, I don't really think I should talk about it anymore. I mean, now I've officially been charged. You know, I don't know what the next steps are. And he goes, no, off the record. Dude, how cool was that? And
Off the record, pretty fucking awesome. Off the record, you shouldn't have arrested.
Yeah. Hey, S.A. Wells, hello. How you doing? He jumped in the chat there.
Oh, hey there.
One of the co-creators of co-creators of Drenmai.
I have been created. I love it.
Created. But then, so my roommate somehow got us into a alternative prosecution program where instead of actually having to go in front of a judge and doing all that, I had to sit through an hour and 45 minutes of quote unquote sensitivity training to understand why I was charged to Bridges to understand why I was charged with disorderly conduct. And it was basically an hour and a half long.
I get it.
Hour and a half long lecture from a lawyer that there was probably about 200 people in the room. And the idea was that, hey, we're going to explain to you why you were charged with this and what you did was wrong and blah, 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 blah. And disorderly conduct is like this misdemeanor, all-encompassing charge that they just throw out there.
It's a catch-all.
Yeah, so if we need to arrest you for something, we'll charge you with this misdemeanor, which in the long run won't do anything to you harmful as far as like job prospects.
That's a fun topic. What's the dumbest thing you've ever been ticketed for?
This might be
I remember being pulled over for doing 40 and a 35 in my brother's car. And my brother had a Glock 40 wedged between the seat and the console that I didn't know about.
Oh my god.
And I went to take my seatbelt off so that I could reach for the registration that was in the glove box, and I put my hand on the grip of the Glock 40. And I looked down at it, and I looked in the side view mirror, and I could see the cop coming. And I looked back down on the gun, and I shoved it as down as I could possibly get it. And I was like, I'm just gonna wait here for the police officer, because this is not my car. This is not my gun. I have no proof of it being my brother's. Either way, this is a problem.
No
This is a
shit.
big problem. If he sees that gun, we have issues. And then I texted my brother. I was like, "Why the fuck is your 40 in the car?" He's like, "Oh, I left it when
That's
I
where
borrowed
I
your
left it."
truck." I'm like, "Gabe, this is a loaded firearm
You should know where it
Unsecured.
is.
in a vehicle that I'm driving."
Oh my
You see
Lord.
how this is a problem? And I think I've told you the story before of when the police on campus thought I had a bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Did I tell you? I've told Clues that. I know
Yep.
that.
I don't think I've heard this.
Oh Jesus. Okay.
What did you? Yeah, let's go
This
with it.
one's a good one.
It's 2010. No, I'm sorry. It's 2011. So it is fall. I am in my sophomore year at college. I have a beard, and I also have hair at this point. It is rainy and wet out, so I'm wearing my military surplus canvas jacket, carrying a backpack. I'm wearing boots, and I look, to quote my Afghani friends, I look like I'm from Lebanon. Which is what my Afghani friends were like. Yeah, you could be from Lebanon. When you've been out in the sun for a bit, but they'd make fun of you because your blue eyes. But in any case, the police are on high alert because it's Family Week. It's also the 10-year anniversary of 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's a little tense. I'm hanging out at the bell tower waiting for people to come meet me for lunch. I'm listening to music. I have my headphones in. I can't hear anything. I look over my shoulder, and a police car is pulled up. No sirens, lights only. He's parked on the sidewalk. He's out of his car. He's looking at stuff. This has nothing to do with me. I'm a law-abiding citizen. Police have no interest in me. About 5 minutes later, a second police car pulls up on the other side, and I say, "Huh. Well, this is now very curious." And I lean further out to get an idea of what's going on. And the police see me, and immediately it's hands to pistols.
Oh shit.
And they're like, hand on gun. You need to stand up very slowly, and you need to come out very slowly, and you need to have your hands away from your body. Do you have a bag with you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And firstly, I've got headphones in, so I can't hear any of this. And so I'm like, and I take my headphones off. I'm like, what's going on? So they repeat themselves, and I approach, and they don't cuff me, but they definitely search me. They took my pocket knife. I told them I had a pocket knife, and they took it. And they're like, "What's in the bag?" And I was like, "A GameCube game and some books." And they opened my bag, and they verified there are books and a GameCube game in here.
It was a
I don't
Mario
remember what
Kart.
game it was. No, it wasn't. If it was Mario Kart, it was Double Dash, but I don't think it was that. I think it was something else. I don't remember. But they searched me. They sat me down. Basically, sit on your hands, don't move, don't talk. I was like, oh, all right. And then I finally got a look at what they were worried about. There was a duct taped sphere to one side of the bell tower under a park bench, right? And it was like this big, and it was weirdly shaped. And they thought it was a bomb, and they thought I had put it there. So that was fun.
What did it end
Then
up being?
their sergeant rolled up and was like, "What the fuck is all this?" And asked for my driver's license, asked for my ID. I gave. He goes, "Oh, you're Dr. Reese's boy," and I was like, "Yes, I am." He's like, I was like, "Oh, does your wife work with my father?" And she's like, "Yes, she does. She works in his office, etc., etc." We get to talking, laughing. He decides well, clearly you didn't put this there, which was amazing. And then a dumb thing happened. He's like, "Can you come over here and look at this with me?" And I'm like, "Well,
no.
Okay. I'm not sure about this. This you think it's a bomb. I don't know why I need to be over there." And I walk over, and he points it out. He's like, "Yo, what does that look like to you?" I was like, "It's a bunch of socks duct taped to a soccer ball that had gotten wet and deformed because it got left overnight in one of the campus lawns."
So a bunch of college kids had made a soccer ball.
It looks like a ball of duct tape socks. He's like, "I think you're right," but before determining whether or not it was a bomb, he ran up to it and kicked it. He's like, "Oh yeah, we're good," and I'm like, "No, don't do that. I'm standing 4 feet away from it. God damn it! You didn't know that wasn't a bomb. You had no idea what that was." But yeah, those two are the two dumbest interactions with police I've ever had.
I got nothing.
Oh well, the S.A.
You need
Wells
to go fuck with police more.
well, S.A. Wells
Or just be somewhere where, they can screw with you.
S.A. Wells had asked, did I do anti-gravity training afterwards? No, I did not do anti-gravity training afterwards. But they were, at the end of the class, they had said, the lawyer goes, does anyone think they should not have been charged with disorderly conduct? And I'm like, I'm not raising my hand. And a whole bunch of hands go up, and people are like, well, yeah, I was fighting with my friends on the sidewalk, and we bumped into it. Okay, yeah, you should. I understand why they did that. And it was everything was like, yeah, I understand. Did they have to be charged? No, but for whatever reason, it was like, but you were doing something.
Yeah.
And so I'm finally like, well, I'm going to raise my hand. He goes, well, why were you arrested? And I said, I got charged for rappelling off of a bridge. And the lawyer says, you're not allowed to do that?
Nice.
So for a long time, I actually had the citation framed because it did say on it, successfully rappelled off of a bridge.
Nice.
And it turns out that the sergeant that was on duty when I was arrested wanted to actually have me put on a psych hold because he thought I was suicidal.
Yeah.
It turns out he's terrified of heights, so he couldn't figure out why anyone would want to do that.
Why? Because it's scary? I don't know.
I'm trying to think of what my dumbest one was. I've had a lot.
There was one. I got one for doing 27 and a 25.
That's just speeding tickets, though.
Yeah. I have a guy I went to high school with. I have a guy I went to high school with that got a speeding ticket on his pedal bicycle for doing 35 miles an hour in a 25 because he was training for a triathlon.
You shouldn't get a ticket for that. You should have gotten an award. 35 on a bike.
But this was a part of this.
Okay.
So within Medford, where I grew up, there's this township called Medford Lakes, which is its own township with its own police force. There's probably more police than there are people, and this is all they have to do all day. So.
Yeah.
For folks at home who don't know miles per hour, that's 56 kph.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's fast. Battlements don't even run that fast sometimes.
It's a fast.
Let's see. Oh, maybe soliciting my business in an intersection. That might be the dumbest ticket.
What?
Okay. All right.
What
what
was your business at the time?
Demolitions.
See, the ticket is so much funnier than the story. Because literally, it was me and a friend. We were out at a party, and we were walking back. This was during college. We were walking back from college. And we were walking. So in Reno, it's like Vegas. There's this strip. So it's a bunch of casinos. And then what's funny is literally right next to the strip of casinos, that's where the college is. Mm-hmm. Great placement, right?
Yeah.
So you literally just walk from all the party area back to college, which is nothing but more party areas. So I was walking down the strip. We were walking back. We were done for the night, me and my friend. And I happened to see my boyfriend in his truck in an intersection. Well, me and my friend look like hookers, apparently. And I walked up to his truck to say hi, because there's literally no one around. This is like 2 o'clock in the morning. I walk up to say hi, and there happened to be a cop there. So, cop pulled me over.
God damn it.
I had to go to court over this one. Because... damn it, I'm not going to get called, basically a hooker. And I had to go explain in front of all these people, plus all, the people that show up for all the stupid other court stuff, and explain to the judge, and I had my boyfriend there. I'm like, no, I'm not one of those.
Listen very carefully.
Yeah, I just wanted to hide my boyfriend, and I got ticketed for it. It's basically the sum of the story.
For some reason, when you first said that, I was like, I had this vision of you selling dice on a street corner.
Oh, yeah.
That's specifically why
that happened, and then I was like, wait a minute.
I was like, no. But then she also did, like, underwater welding, so maybe she was selling underwater welding on a street corner.
Maybe she was underwater welding.
We'll weld for
that
food.
was the problem. She was not underwater.
We'll weld your pool for food.
Stupid tickets.
Oh, my God.
I mean, I got 17 tickets in 1 year when I first got my car. All because the local police department hated me.
Yeah.
I got pulled over 4 times. So I had arguments with cops over these because I had a sports car when I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
And on the front of most sports cars, you can't have a license plate. It comes to a point. There's no actual spot to put it.
Mm-hmm.
So I only had the rear one. I got pulled over 4 times for that. They said if I get another ticket, they're gonna repo my car, basically. So I had to fabricate a way to put it on my car. I got pulled over another 4 times for crossing over a white line by 6 inches, exiting a freeway because the off ramp is very, very short and you didn't really have a choice. So I got $400
They were
tickets for
gunning
that.
for you then. They were just looking for ways to get money.
They hated your ass.
They hate 17 tickets, and I talked myself out of every single one of them except for one. I had to go see the same judge every time because I was a minor, and you get to go to minor court.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hey, Judge, how you doing?
Yeah, I was like, hey, how's your daughter? Because she was about the same age as me. And I know he liked Coke, so every time that I went, I would bring him a Coke.
Oh, a Coke.
Oh, I thought you were on.
No, we had a deal on the other side, you know. Just.
I mean, like, plenty of judges like Coke.
I'm sure they do. Oh my God.
He'd be like, why are you back here again? Like, here's the ticket.
Some horse shit that I'm putting.
So I guess at a certain point, the judge has got to be like, yeah, he knows that these are horseshit tickets, and it's just the police doing whatever they're gonna do. And...
Yeah, the cops are probably talking about your car at this precinct. Oh, I stopped this. Oh yeah, I stopped them the other day. Oh, I'm gonna stop them if I see them again.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was one time. So when I was a teenager and I first got my driving and everything, I was let's see, I got my master's in violin when I was 14. So between the ages of then and 20, I was constantly on the road for traveling to do concerts and stuff. So here I am driving along, 16 years old. I am in a full ball gown because there a lot of times we have to dress up super fancy for certain shows and stuff. I'm in a full-on black ball gown. And I'm going because I'm a little late. So I'm like maybe 5 miles per hour over the speed limit. Dude pulls me over. He makes me get out, does like the full search. I'm like, do you see what I'm dressed in? If you mess this up, I swear, this is like a $2,000 dress. I swear to God, hell will be raised. And yeah, he's a complete dick. Made me almost an hour late for the concert. And
Jesus.
I'm first seat. You're not allowed to be late when you're first seat.
No.
Because I was the concert master. Like,
oh my Lord.
Oh my God. Oh
my
I had
Lord.
troubles with the cops.
All right, so I don't feel as bad. I'm not the only bad kid here. It looks like there's.
I'm not necessarily a bad kid.
I
wasn't a
should have
bad
been
kid.
caught on so many occasions, but it was not. So like,
We got dinged
I would
once.
steal things from people in school for fun. I'd pick their pockets and because it amused me, and then I would hide them in other people's pockets or hide them in different places.
Oh my God, you're that player character from Fallout who reverse pickpockets grenades into people's pockets.
I did it with phones. I was very good with phones.
And pens and pencils.
Keys was another really great one.
I was like the school's local tattoo artist because I would draw on everyone.
Yeah, I don't know how I didn't get in more trouble. I think it's because I made people like me.
My brush with the laws were all boring. Like, I was the DD most of the time when I went out with my friends. And they insisted on going to bars that had a lot of cigarette smoking, and I'm asthmatic. So by the time everything's over, I'm like on the verge of having an asthma attack all the time, and I have to drop everyone off at home. Now I'm like, it's 3 a.m. I'm tired as hell, and I'm almost falling asleep on the road. Same guy pulls me over 3 times in a row. It just happens to be the guy who, because I'm swerving, I'm so tired. And he's like, you can't keep doing this. And he knows me. The first time he ever met me was after we had those triple hurricanes in a row here. My dad and I had to go fix a roof on one of his rentals and put a tarp on the roof. And he doesn't see that the light is blinking red on one of the intersections because the computers are down, so everything is like stop at the light. He just rams into this person in front of us in the minivan. Yeah, like I see it, and I'm like, we're coming up to it. I'm like, why aren't you slowing down? We gotta stop. You gotta stop. And And I'm like, stop the car! And he's like, boom, hit the guy. Every piece of loose tool in that minivan comes flying forward. And right next to me, right here, is the foot of a ladder. And I'm just like, that is right next to my head.
That really would have hurt.
The guy who responds to it is the cop who pulls me over along this construction zone of road 3 times in a row because I'm falling asleep in the wheel or behind the wheel. Because I'm the responsible friend who's giving everyone rides so they can get drunk and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So mine are boring.
It's probably good to be boring because then you don't have all of these.
Well, then you have to. Because imagine of all these times where we've had contact with the police where it could have gone a completely different direction, or when we finally got to court and the judge was like, "Nope, you're screwed."
Yeah.
Jail. You know, I got one where we sophomore year of college, we went up to my friend's apartment. He had one of those on-campus apartments at Rutgers, and it was Thanksgiving weekend, and we were trying to get into the apartment, and his ID wasn't letting him in. They had apparently locked the building down for whatever reason. So he goes, "Oh, no, we'll just climb in over the front door awning and in through the open window. It's always open because we go out there to smoke." So one of us scurries up there, goes in, unlocks the door. We go in there. I was 19. My one friend was 20. My other friend was turning 21 in like 2 weeks. But we had just cracked open our first beers, and we just started a drink. And then you get the cop knock.
Thump, thump, thump.
Yeah, dunk, dunk, dunk. Oh, shit. So we quick hide our beers. We throw them in the fridge. Cops come in. They're looking around. They find the open beers, but then they also find my friend whose apartment it was. He had like this replica like Klingon knife.
Oh, he had a bat left?
That was like no, not a bat left. It was like a knife that was like this long, and it started like this wide and tapered down into this.
Okay.
It was just like this enormous thing. So I guess between that and so they arrested us. I learned that you're not supposed to accidentally slip the cuffs off. They don't like that. They didn't put the cuffs.
They don't like that.
I've got narrow wrists, and I've got the ability to like, and it slipped. Yeah. And they didn't like that. But so yeah, they arrested us. We sat there in a holding area. We were handcuffed to like this concrete steel pillar thing. Fingerprints, pictures.
So why did they arrest you?
Well, they arrested us and they charged it. They tried to charge us with underage drinking, but they couldn't prove that we had actually been drinking, because
right, of course, because why?
Well, they found the open beers, but they couldn't. No, it was not that, Yvonne. It was actually curved. It was actually a curved blade.
Yeah, it's like you fight with 2 of them.
But
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It looks like a giant like fang or something.
Yeah, no, it's worst favorite knife thing. Yeah.
But they so they couldn't charge us with that, so they charged us with trespassing.
Because your apartment.
Well, that's what. Fortunately, my friend Matt, whose apartment it was, and Matt passed away like 15 years ago or so. But he always had an angle, and he went and he did the research, and we showed up for court, and he got the charges dropped because you cannot be charged with trespassing when you're on your own property, and when you're a student essentially leasing an apartment, it counts as you being, for all intents and purposes, it counts as you being the owner of that property, and you can't trespass on your own property. So charges got dropped, and didn't have to worry about having an awkward conversation with my parents as to why I had a record.
It's like yeah, we're drinking a couple of beers, and the cops are like, "Well, we're gonna go fuck shit up for."
Well, I think
Why?
the call was someone saw someone crawling in through a window, and so they're gonna respond. I mean, so they're responding to that. But
I had to do that so many times. I had a basement apartment. I had to do it like 2 or 3 times. No cops got called on me. Maybe they didn't give a shit.
I had to break into my house all the time, so I forgot my keys.
Oh, exactly. I've done
I've
it.
got a crowbar in my vehicle just for these exact occasions.
So here's one. I was in court for a speeding ticket when I was 18, and it was down the shore.
High speeding ticket you got?
85 and a 60.
I'm 127.
Oh, you got me beat.
choice.
Yeah, that's nice. Well, if you're gonna do it, go big. You know, at a certain point, they can't give you any more points. You know, they only have it only goes up to like 7 miles per hour or more. So listen, 7 is the same as 20, so you might as well. You know,
We'll go harder.
so I was in there. We were trying to get talk down to like obstructing traffic or something like that. And so they're going through all the pleas, and they do all the guilty pleas first because it's going to go faster. And the one dude is charged with public urination, and you could plead innocent, guilty, or guilty, not guilty, or guilty but with an explanation. And so the guy says, well, I'm going to plead guilty with an explanation. And, all right, I'll hear your explanation. Well, it was my house. I had locked my keys inside. I was coming back from the bar. I had walked home, and it was a rental house. I had rented the property. I really had to go, so I was in the bushes, and I was taking a leak in the bushes. And the judge said, well, okay, that's fine, because it was his own property. So it's like, because again, he was a renter, so technically it's his own property. So I think one of the other guys that was like in line behind him thought, well, wait, I'm going to try this. So he goes, well, he's charged with public urination. He says, I'm going to plead guilty, but with an explanation. Well, what's your explanation? Well, I really had to go, so I went between two cars. Judge says, yeah, you're paying the full fine. And it was like a $400 fine, or not, it wasn't that much. It was like maybe it took a $200 fine or something. So
He got off lucky then.
He did, but what does he do? He goes next door to the bank, changes in all the money for pennies, and brings back and pays his fine in pennies.
That was a bad idea.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got a chance to pay mine before he got to, because I would have been there for a while. It was...
That makes me think of... Go ahead, Ross.
No, I was just gonna say I was living in New Mexico, and I was like in my 20s, and it was like the first time I'd been away from home for any extended period, and I had this really crappy efficiency apartment, and one morning, and I didn't have to work that morning, so I was trying to sleep in or whatever, and one morning I just hear a bunch of thumping and just a lot of noise outside the apartment, and the neighbors had been noisy before and whatever, so I was like, oh, I wonder. So I got up and I looked out the window, and there's like this, I don't see anybody, and then I look down and there's like this cop like walking down and it was an outside entryway, so it was like outside stairwell and stuff. So I'm like, what's going on? So I quickly got dressed and kind of poked my head out the door, and the cop wasn't there anymore. But then I went out onto the little walkway, and it was a third floor apartment, and there's a cop down on the ground, and he's like, what the hell are you doing there? Get out of there. I'm like, what? And so I ran in, grabbed my keys, and shut the door, and I start scurrying down the steps. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I guess they had been knocking on all the doors, telling everybody to evacuate. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I go out, and like all the people from that building are like outside, and all the people from the other two buildings are outside in the parking lot. And I found like this dude that was wearing a tie-dye, and I'm like, immediately I'm like going to that dude, because I'm kind of a hippie, am kind of a hippie. So I'm like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, I guess somebody violated their parole, and so they're trying to, they think he has a bomb. And I'm like, a bomb? And like, yeah, I think he has a bomb. They brought out something in a box like about 20 minutes later and blew it up. Whatever the fuck it was, they brought it out in one of these things and exploded it and whatever. And it turns out it was my fucking next door neighbor.
Extraordinary.
Had violated his parole and had guns. And I guess they suspected something was a bomb, and they exploded it. And
Jesus.
and he had they had been yelling, they would yell at each other next door, and there might have been domestic violence. I don't know. I didn't really ever see anything. But yeah, that was kind of it was I wasn't scared until I found out that it was my next door neighbor, and that I could have been blown up. I was like, what the fuck?
Jesus.
Yeah, that's a little
He had
scary.
guns and shit, and he was violating his parole by having guns. So yeah, that was actually one time where I was kind of grateful that the police were there. But I was like, it freaked me the hell out because they're like, "What the fuck are you still doing in there? Get out!" I'm like, "Yeah, what?"
Yeah, by no stretch of the imagination am I saying cops are bad. I think cops are great, but there's some times where they're dicks. I did have one. They came to my house one time, and I thought it was really, really funny because have you ever had a cop throw a rock at your door? So
No.
They had to come and serve another person in my house papers. And at the time, I had a 220-pound giant Alaskan Malamute that standed. If he was up on his hind legs, he'd be about 10 feet tall. He was a bear.
Mm-hmm.
He big boy. I trained him to pull my truck, and my truck weighed well over 5,000 pounds. So he's a big, strong boy. And my old house, the front door had this big, huge window in front of it, and in front and below the window was a little like Lay's couch type thing. So I hear tink, tink, and my dog's kind of like at the front. I'm like, oh, okay. What are you looking at? Is there like a chipmunk or something out there? And down my walkway, I look out my window, and down the walkway, I see a cop. Like, what? And he's throwing rocks at my door. So I open my door, he bolts. I'm like, okay, so I close my door again. Like, that was weird. And then a few minutes later, tink, tink. So I open my door again. He's like, ma'am, can you please step out and close the door? So I'm like, okay. I step outside, close the door, and he's like, is that dog gonna eat us? Like,
What dog?
no, he's actually quite tame.
Don't make me tell him
So
to.
oh no, my dog was the biggest. So we had the water meter guy. He would sit there and he'd walk straight into our backyard and he'd feed my dog treats because my dog had the meanest bark you've ever heard. But you give him a treat, he's like, yay, best friend.
Hey, it's a food person.
Yeah. So
this one has
he's like,
Cheetos.
that dog is gonna come through the window. He is scared that both there are a couple of them. I couldn't see the other ones that were around the corner, but there was a couple of them, and they were too scared to come to my house because my dog was sitting there, all 220 pounds in the window, just staring him down.
I see you out there.
I see
look like a
you. I
squirrel to
will
me.
eat you. When in fact
I
he would
can
be
take
like, "Yay!" I'll just bark and yell at people. He was the epitome of all bark, no bite. He was such a baby, but he
Big
was
old baby.
huge. God,
Big old baby.
I miss that dog.
Big old baby.
Oh yeah, and the 127-mile-per-hour speeding ticket. That's because I was going between Reno and Vegas. There's a whole lot of nothing between Reno and Vegas except for wide open desert roads.
Mm-hmm. So why not go 127 miles?
Why
an hour?
not? Because it was me and a friend. We were racing to see who could get between Reno and Vegas quickest. I won, even though I got
Even with the speeding ticket.
even with the speeding ticket.
I was able to get to 120 once on 95 at like 3 in the morning. That was cool, but not sustainable.
I think the highest amount of speed I've ever had is 94 on a country road back near my house, back when I was like 16.
Back when you don't care if you live or die.
Back when you don't care about the
Consequences.
prospect of a herd of deer crossing the road in the late night and striking one of them at 94 miles an hour, which didn't happen, but almost did.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've traveled. I'm almost to 2 million miles of driving time, and in all that time, I've still never hit a deer. Come close a lot of times because those bastards are really dumb, but I've never hit a deer.
They see the deer crossing sign and they're waiting for the deer bus, and they see you coming. They think you might be the deer bus.
I hate it. No.
Deer
I
bus.
saw there's
Deer
a
Uber.
comic out there where it's like about the deer and he's teaching his son about like, and you see those lights, you got to stare him down real hard and that's how you win the battle. And it's,
Oh.
car
A
coming.
semi, yeah.
That's basically as far as my headcanon goes, that's what deer are thinking.
The way we used to take down to the shore were these winding back county roads through the Pine Barrens. Yeah, at night it definitely became an issue because there's a lot of blind corners that you'd be coming around, and you never knew if there were going to be deer floating around there. But the other challenge was it was like almost like you felt like you were on the Autobahn a little bit, so you were trying to take these turns as fast as you could. You know, because the usual drive between my house and the shore was about 40 minutes, and we were always trying to go sub 30. So
I was able to Pine Barrens.
Huh?
Initial D, New Jersey Pine Barrens, basically.
Yeah. We were. I did it in 20 minutes once. One time, 20 minutes, and that was probably, looking back, it was probably the dumbest thing I've ever done because it was obviously at night, and going very fast and around turns that you should probably not be going fast in, but
the best.
But I had a Mustang. It's supposed to go fast,
Yeah, the only difference between driving out here and driving back in Indiana at night is sometimes it's a bear instead of a deer.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, you might not kill the bear, and the bear's gonna, well, I'm gonna hurt you now.
You're gonna hit the bear and annoy it, and it's gonna be like, well, okay.
Gonna eat you now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna pry open your vehicle and find your chips.
Mm-hmm.
But I ate my chips. It's still gonna find them.
Yep.
Still gonna find those chips.
Oh look. Oh look. Takeout. My Uber Eats is here.
I hadn't done a garbage burn in a while, and there was a whole bunch like out in the front yard that were raiding through everything. I'm like, do you mind?
Guys, we're on to something here. Come on. Oh, we'll be back. Hang on. We're just picking through, making sure there's nothing.
We've got the mountain lion, the bears, and the raccoons, and they're all trash jerks.
Were any of them wearing a hat and bow tie?
No.
I'm here for your picnic basket. I'm smarter than the average bear.
Like, the bears here are nothing. They're big baby black bears.
Oh, yeah.
Or like the sun bear kind of, and they're such babies. Back where I'm from, we had grizzlies and shit. Those are bears.
Yeah.
But they're still babies. But they're just bigger babies.
Until you get between mama and the cubs.
Them off.
Until you get
just look at them wrong.
Yeah, I've had that instance out camping. Like there was one time when I was having to do my rescue training certification, and you have to go do a lot of stuff, and we're camping in the middle of the woods.
Your WIFR certification?
Huh?
Wilderness First Responder certification? Your WIFR?
No, not that one, because ours had to be scuba diving specific. So we had to deal with a lot of different terrains. So we had to be at least 10,000 feet above in elevation, so you can get your high altitude. Because that stuff really fucks with the oxygen levels in your blood, especially when you want to go up that high, and then you're going down into water to pressurize it, and you're trying to figure out how to not die.
I get it.
So, yeah, it sucks. Your nitrogen levels are all over the place. But we had to camp over. And it was during peak breeding season, and there's these really cute little fluffy bears that are like everywhere, and yeah, you don't want to mess with them, because then in the looming distance you just hear thud, thud, thud. You're like, sorry. There's a bunch of the fish that we caught. Have it. I don't
have all
care.
the fish. Have all the things. These are not for hugging.
Well, you just need to be able to run faster than the slowest fish, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to run that bear. I just got to outrun you.
Or dual-wheeled fish and go after that bear.
Yeah, it's not going to work. Apex predator.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, well, we'll just go into the water. Yeah, bears can swim.
Bears can swim really well.
And they can climb, and they're fast, and they're...
you're... Just fucking leave the bears alone.
There's a reason why they're an apex predator.
We didn't tame bears, goddammit. We tamed wolves.
And they're smart.
We looked at bears, and bears were like, "No, fuck off."
And they're smart as shit too. It's
they're very smart.
That's the problem, because now you have something that's strong and smart.
Yeah, with 4-inch claws.
Yeah.
Bulletproof.
Yeah.
Everything proof.
Try stabbing a bear, doesn't work. Try shooting a bear,
doesn't work.
depends on the caliber.
And even then, meh.
The bear might still kill you before it realizes that it itself is dead.
Yeah.
There's a picture out there of a bear that had like mange or something, and it lost all of its fur, and it's just nightmare fuel.
Very
It's a nightmare
sad.
bear.
Yeah,
It's
nightmare.
very sad.
yeah. I mean, it's sad, but you look at it, you're like, Jesus Christ, that is terrifying. But then you also realize how
Yeah.
much fur, and you see that you're like, I just kind of want to
They're
hug a bear
fluffy.
even more now. I just really want to hug a bear, and
Oh, a bear will
They're
hug
so
you back.
fluffy.
Knitted a sweater.
Some bears are fine.
Some. Other bears are buttholes.
Other bears
Pandas,
can
fuck
be.
those things.
But
What?
they're so dumb. They're cute.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
he's,
Are you just picking a
He's picking a
Picking a
fight.
bear.
He's picking a fight.
If you have to say which bear's the worst, it has to be the koala.
Well, they're
just
marsupial.
Dumb.
No,
And
pandas
aggressive.
are worse.
No.
No.
Pandas
Pandas
are
are
dumb.
fluffy and snuggable.
So are koalas. I just
No,
wanna hug.
koalas are mean
Koalas
and
will chew
aggressive
your
and have
face off.
chlamydia.
And give you chlamydia. Yeah.
See?
Well, don't have
I mean-
sex with the koala, and maybe then
No,
you wouldn't get
don't
the
touch
chlamydia.
a koala. They have
You
it
can't
on
touch
them.
it.
It's not like a fluid transfer thing. They just have it.
Well, so
They
then
just
don't
have it.
don't touch the
Chlamydia.
koala and touch yourself. I mean,
Right.
wash your
Gideon,
hands.
We have Panda in the chat, and you're like, fuck pandas.
Well, listen, not that specific panda in chat. Just panda in general.
I don't appreciate your anti-panda propaganda here.
I'd
I'd like
you
to
know what?
apologize. to
That's
my
fine. I
anti-panda
won't
friends.
do either of
Apologize
those
on
things.
behalf of all pandas.
You know, pandas, yeet them into the sun for all I care.
Oh God!
Wow.
Jesus Christ! Wow, this took a turn.
Most hated animals.
This took a turn.
Pandas. Okay, all right, we get it.
Fuck 'em.
Panda hate, fine. I don't
Don't
really hate
ever
pandas.
run for public office. Gideon Reese hates
Seriously?
pandas.
They're just gonna take this entire VOD and put it
Well, you know, they're
He's
gonna
a
feel real
suspected
stupid when
terrorist
they
who
realize
hates
that it's a
pandas.
bit.
Gideon Reese, suspected terrorist, hates pandas.
Hates
Hates
pandas.
pandas.
Hates pandas.
Oh my god.
And if he hates pandas, that means he hates Jesus.
He believes in pandemonium against
A
him.
vote for a Jesus
A vote for
hater.
Gideon is a vote for Satan.
Oh.
Yeah, man.
They'll say,
Actually, wait a second.
he ran.
Wait. Let's talk about this because this
Wait,
might be
we
a.
have something here.
Yeah, running for public office. Yeah, that's something I'm gonna be
Oh
doing.
God, no, never. There's too many skeletons in my closet from my youth. It's just.
I mean, yeah, I've watched some strange porn in my day, but nothing too
Sound clips. Gideon Reese. Yeah, I watched
Gideon
the stream
Preen.
porn back in my day.
Sexual deviant.
really
Hates
want it?
pandas. Hates Jesus.
hates Jesus, watches porn. He'll
Sexual
attack
deviant.
God. He'll attack and dethrone God. God. Yeah, I certainly wouldn't be running on the Democratic ticket.
Now all you have to do is say "Hail Satan" during this cast. And
He already did.
You'll have everything for that.
He already
for that
did.
I
particular
did. I've
platform.
already said it.
He
Oh,
threw
I
up the
didn't
horns
even
and
hear it,
everything.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
just.
Said it, yeah. All they gotta do is some editing.
I was laughing
Now
too hard.
now I will never be able to run for public office.
You're
Thank
making-
God.
You make Panda Jesus cry.
Yeah, well, you know, that's fine.
Poor Panda Jesus. I
know,
mean,
if he
be like a
existed,
normal
I'd feel
person.
bad
Hate
for him.
fighters.
So now we've established that Gideon is not a viable third-party write-in candidate, or maybe he
certainly
is.
not gonna
I
be
don't
in the-
know.
He's certainly not going to be the Panda Party's pick.
No, it's,
Maybe there's a niche sector that's wider than we know about that does not like pandas.
maybe. Is there like a? Do pandas have like a mortal enemy? Because that would be like the people who would like
Gideon.
Gideon.
the Gideons.
No, that would be really fucking funny. I don't think they have natural
Okay.
predators.
Potential predators includes jackals, snow leopards, and yellow-throated martins.
I
Yeah,
could
I think a
understand
yellow-throated
the
martin
snow
party.
leopard.
No, I think it would be the yellow-throated
Yellow-throated
martin party.
Martin.
But
Martins.
that's
Like
they only go
MARTEN.
after.
Well, yeah, but I didn't think they get that big.
Isn't
They
that
go
a
after
bird?
cubs.
It says they go after the
Oh.
cubs, not so much the adults.
Yellow-throated
Okay.
Martin. I'm gonna see what this is here. I don't know what that is.
You've never
Yeah,
seen
dude.
them?
Yeah.
Martins
Because
are cool.
yeah, I think that would be these look kind of like weasels or
You equating me to a weasel, sir?
no. Or listen, mongoose.
Sir,
A mongoose.
this is name calling, and I won't stand for it in this debate. I will not have your mudslinging.
I just have like this vision now of like at a future PAX Unplugged of someone like cosplaying as a panda and you two like making like this eye contact from across the room, and then it devolves into like that Family Guy where Peter gets in the fight with the chicken.
The
But it's
fucking
just
the Kill Bill horns go off.
Let's then move it to what's your favorite animal?
Pangolin.
Okay, penguin.
Okay,
Pangolin.
Pangolins
Oh,
are
pangolin. Oh, yeah.
absolutely amazing.
I can see a pangolin. Yeah.
Horribly.
Are we gonna? So wait. Are we gonna say like? Because I mean, for me it would be dog, but are we gonna say like in the animal kingdom, like outside of like domesticated animals?
What could be dog if you want to do
I,
dog?
mean, I think it might be dog, but I don't know.
Pangolin. It will eat the ants in your house, but it will also have to tear your house apart.
But it will also destroy your house. It will go ham
It will also
on your
destroy
basement.
your house, but your
A little
termites will
mini
be
wrecking
gone.
ball.
I don't know.
Pangolins
I
don't
like
give a fuck about your concrete.
Yeah, there's a great video of that pangolin just going absolutely ham on a wall,
Ripping the side that marble siding or
just
it's not
Mhm.
marble.
tearing it down like,
Granite.
there's something in here, and I'm gonna get it.
I found an ant. Rip. Oh, I found
Yeah,
more.
one.
Rip.
One ant, gotta get it.
Hey guys, you got some ants in here? Rip, rip, rip.
Don't anymore. But my wall, you don't have any ants.
My wall. Fuck your wall. I was hungry.
I don't know this
It's
yellow
called a snack wrapper. Thank you very much.
Your wall meant nothing to me.
I kind of
You
like
think
this
that
yellow
this
throated
could
martin.
keep
It's
anyone
adorable.
out?
Meanwhile, inside the wall, we're safe. We're in the human's wall.
No,
Pangolin
it's
could never
small.
get at us here. Humans won't allow it. They love their precious wall. It holds up their house, which they live in.
Pangolin said, ha 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 ha, fool.
Fucking humans. I'm gonna eat some ants.
Eat me some ants.
I'm really torn on which would be my favorite. Either a red panda or an ermine.
Red pandas are pretty awesome.
They're
Yeah.
Ermines
amazing.
are pretty cool though.
But ermines are very useful. And they're adorable.
I think it's between a dog and a quokka.
Quokkas are amazing. I want to go to that island.
Yeah, just so you can say hi and pose with the quokkas who are
I will
always...
totally be one of those idiots that does the selfie with the smiley quokkas.
But they come up to you. They're like super friendly. They're like,
I
hi.
know. They're great.
And they're
They
always
attack
so...
your face.
No.
Do they?
They're friendly.
I'm kidding.
No,
I'm kidding.
they're
Oh,
friendly.
that's a shame.
They're all
That's a
like
shame.
so just adorable and like happy. They're all just like...
Mhm.
And like genuinely happy. Like not in like an
Mhm.
annoying, hey, you're annoying me with your fake happiness kind of way. More like a, dude, you just made me feel a lot better about my day.
I want to
Mhm.
train a wombat to attack male people. Because
Wait.
it will just like try to tackle them.
Postal
Like,
people? Like
Huh?
postal office people or human males?
just all
said-
males.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Just like
you said
"There's
male
one,
people.
go!"
You said
And just,
male
like,
people.
want
I'm like,
a juggernaut wombat. any guy that I don't like, yeah, attack him.
not
Get it.
a honey badger.
No, wombat. Because you don't expect a wombat to be violent.
oh, it's true. You don't. You expect
Aw,
them to
what
crawl into
about-
a hole.
What about
what they
sea
do.
otters?
Oh, otters are
Yeah,
awesome.
Sea otters are
adorable.
so cute
Otters are
too.
awesome. They are awesome.
And they're very squeaky.
They are.
makes
They make
nice
funny.
squeaks.
They make funny noises when they eat. And
They're so cute. Yeah. Yum, 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 yum.
have you ever seen the one? There's one of a someone has a porcupine and it's eating a pumpkin.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
And it sounds like a cartoon noise, but it's like legit.
Mhm.
They're like basically like just giant dogs that can't be pet, and I think they all just want to be pet because they like belly scritches and they want it and they want to get like pet, but they can't do it without maiming you, and I think it's very sad.
Yeah. I almost adopted a porcupine because he needed a home because they're just very sweet creatures. I
They
just
are.
didn't
They're
have
very
space.
nice.
I had so many at that point.
I don't think I could.
It's like,
All of
oh,
the creatures.
well, because I was an endangered, or I was a
You're
what
an
was-
endangered
what was the
species.
title? It was exotic animal rescue basically thing. So, anything that was odd came to me. For those that haven't seen it, there you go. His name's Teddy Bear. Oh, I guess I couldn't put it in here too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen this one. Yeah.
Where he's yeah, exactly. He's so excited about that pumpkin. And I swear, I thought it was someone doing like a cartoon voice.
Oh no, that's what porcupines sound like.
And that's what made it amazing.
Yum, 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 yum.
That's the anime version. That's the.
Teddy Bear is adorable. Okay, I'm getting hungry, so I'm gonna end it on Teddy Bear.
We should probably eat some foods.
Yes. Food's time. So we will be off for the next 2 Sundays because of PAX Online. Not just because of PAX Online, but our Indomitable Clues will be line producing. So make sure if you are in chat at some point that you give a little shout out to Clues and say
behave.
Behave.
Be nice.
We will be hosting. I'm sure we'll be hosting some of the PAX channels on the EDR Twitch channel. We have set up some Twitch channel or some in our Discord. We have some PAX discussion channels, so you can join us there for some watching and chatting and experiences there. And we will be back in 3 Sundays, I guess, from now, with some all new Team X, provided that nothing strange happens in the next.
Provided that the Panda lobby does not
does not send us a DMCA notice to the entire site of some kind, and then we're done.
You see a lot of hatred for pandas.
All the hate mail.
It was a bit. Well, we don't like it.
I'm tired of the anti-panda rhetoric.
It's hurtful against pandas.
But only against certain pandas.
Listen, it has to be said, if you're going to occupy an evolutionary niche, you should at least be good at it.
Wow. Well,
speak for yourself. Oh, burn!
Send all hate mail to @gid_Reese on Twitter. So.
I will not read it. Don't worry. I will simply delete it. If you DM me and I don't like what you have to say and I don't know, I will not be reading it. Congratulations.
We'll be back in a couple weeks. Hopefully, we'll see you in the streams for during PAX Online. Everyone, have a great couple of weeks.